Okay then, this really is a quick one, and this is dedicated to all those people that may see this channel, and there won't be a lot at this stage, but all those people that either A, do not really follow horse racing as a rule, or B, are viewing from America, because I know I've got a few viewing from across the pond there, who think they've had some wonderful horses over the years, and I'm sure that they have. Well, I know that they have. I've seen some of them myself. In the week leading up to the 2000 Guineas, which I think is on Saturday, which is the first classic of the British horse racing season, of which there's 5, it reminded me of a horse that won that first classic, a few years ago now, might be 10, might be 12, I don't know, my memory's bad. A horse called Frankel. I remember that horse every time of the year about now, because it's days leading up to the 2000 Guineas. But it's a horse that I see, and it's the race that I watch probably twice a year or 3 times a year, every year, since it partook in the 2000 Guineas. And the reason I watch it is because, firstly, I absolutely love the horse. Secondly, I more than loved his trainer, Sir Henry Cecil. I don't know how you can get more than love, but I more than loved him. I thought he was brilliant. The backstory behind the horse was fantastic, what with Sir Henry's battle with what ended up being a terminal illness. But the biggest reason I love it is because it is without a doubt the greatest performance I've ever seen by any racehorse in any discipline, anywhere throughout my lifetime. I'm now in my 60s. If I live another 30 years till I'm 90, which is probably doubtful, although it'd be nice, I already know now, as I sit here now, I know I'm never going to see a horse race the equal of that horse race. Or should I say, a performance by a horse the equal of that horse in that horse race. But anybody that's got YouTube, and I know you all have, especially if you're watching now, it's on YouTube. I actually seen it today. That's what made me think of this video as much as anything else. I seen it and watched it again today. I probably watched it last about 6 months ago, but it was on there today, and I thought, wait, I'll have another look. It's 2.5, 3 minutes long. It's the one from Racing UK or Racing TV, and they've rebranded. If you get a chance to watch it, well, don't just get a chance, just watch it. Even if you're not really a horse racing fan. But for those that aren't really horse racing fans, I'll give you the background behind it. It went into the race as the favourite. It was expected to win. It had won its previous 4 or 5 races. It went into the race with a pacemaker, because often it could be a bit enthusiastic coming out of the stalls, and they wanted a good pace for it. They didn't want everybody to hold the horses up and get it fractious. The pacemaker was a waste of time, because within probably 300 or 400 yards, Frankel was in front, and at the end of the first furlong, he was already 3 or 4 lengths in front. But he went away from the field. He just kept extending and extending and extending. So halfway through the race, he's 10 to 15 lengths in front. And the wonderful thing is, or the amazing thing about it is, and he's against the best in class. He's against probably another 15, 16, 17 horses, the best in Great Britain at the time. The wonderful thing was, his jockey never moved a muscle. He wasn't pushing the horse out. He hadn't whipped the horse. He was doing nothing to generate that kind of speed and to go that far ahead of the field. The horse just did it of its own volition, its own accord. It was a wonderful thing to see. I remember the day I watched it, I was alone in my house. I'm not in that house anymore, unfortunately. I was sat on my living room floor. I was probably only about 4 foot away from the TV. And I remember from 3.5 furlongs out, I was applauding the horse home. I was actually clapping to nobody but myself. There was nobody in the house, thankfully. And at the end of it, I got quite emotional, so I was glad there was nobody in the house. I only got emotional because I was so pleased for Sir Henry Cecil, but also because I knew I'd seen history. I knew I'd never seen his like again, and I never have, and I never will. It was just a wonderful performance. In the end, it only wins by about 4 or 5 lengths, and its jockey Tom Quill is pushing it out at the end to make sure it still wins. But it just broke the field apart. And when you consider you've got the best horses in Great Britain against it, and you look back through the field, there's probably 30 or 40 lengths to the back marker. It's crazy the distance between first and last. You just don't see that in a classic unless a horse pulls up or a horse gets injured. You don't see it with able-bodied horses because, as I say, they're the best of the best, and they're all normally within 10 or 12 lengths. There's a brilliant horse running the 2000 Guineas this weekend. He's at Auguste Rodin, although he's got a couple of good horses against him, and he might win and win well. He might win by 4 lengths. But by the same token, he might win and it might be a blanket finish because often isn't that race. It's so hard to win. Even with a small field, it's so hard to win. But that year, many more horses turned up than I expected because I always thought Frankel would win. I think most of us did. But nobody could have believed it would have won like that. It was brilliant throughout its career. I think I can think of one relatively poor performance. But throughout its career it was brilliant, but never like that day. As I say, the greatest performance I've seen, if you love sport, watch it. If you watch horse racing but aren't really into it, watch it. If you're from America and love sport, watch it. But if you're from America and think you've had better over the years, just watch that race. If there's only one race of Frankel's you watch, make that the race you see. And bear in mind all that I've said. You know, to win a classic race like that, with a field as big and other horses with great reputations, and to absolutely put them to the sword like Frankel did, without, as I say, any urgings from the jockey, it's just a thing that took your breath away. So if you get the chance, please watch it. It's 4 days away from this year's run of the 2000 Guineas. And as I say, I know if I've got another 30 in me, there'll never be a race like that day. Okay, thank you.